What is up, YouTube? Jericho426 coming at you with another Marvel Contest of Champions video. Guys, I'm excited because, man, I'm seeing, let me brighten this up for you just a little bit here so we can see it together. They have released the Champion Spotlight for Silver Centurion. Excited, I guess, maybe that's a very relative term. If you haven't seen already, I also released a video on the Kabam conspiracy with Jabari Panther and Silver Centurion. However, guys, let's take a look at his abilities and see if we think, hey, is this guy going to be worthwhile? Is he going to be any good? Looking like this is going to be our first champion that we're going to get for April. And so if you're like me, this might be the champion Cavalier crystals that you get from the pre-purchase bundles that are, you're going to try for this one instead of what happened with Odin, right? So let's check him out, guys. So obviously he is a tech champion. We do need some better tech champions in MCOC right now. Base abilities, plasma armor up, heal block, and slow. So far, just reading that, I'm not getting super excited yet. Strength, his damage and utility. And I haven't read this yet. This is the first time for all of us, guys. Silver Centurion is able to deal a lot of damage under certain circumstances. I don't like certain circumstances. I want every circumstance. But he always has a good amount of utilities to support him. He does not trigger critical effects. Interesting. Silver Centurion inflicts shocks in the opponent rather than deliver critical strikes. Consequently, he does not trigger critical effects. It will completely depend on how potent those shocks are. Weaknesses, armor break. Much of his armor comes from his own armor up buff. So removing the buff puts him in a very bad spot. Shock immunity. Anyone immune to shock is immune to his critical strikes. I don't think there's a whole lot of shock immune characters. So that might not be such a big deal. Alright, so abilities. Silver Centurion armor. Start the fight with one indefinite armor up buff, increasing armor by plus 700. If this buff is removed for any reason, it re-triggers after 10 seconds. While the above armor up buff is active, Silver Centurion becomes immune to bleed and shock effects. I like the bleed immunity. That's a little bit better than his shock immunity, I think. Unless you're fighting, I don't know. Is Electro, is his awakened ability, is that a shock? Or is that just direct damage? I think it's just direct damage. Lock on. To ready lock on, Silver Centurion must remain near his opponent for 12 seconds. That's a long time. As an attacker, moving away from the opponent before readying the lock will cause progress to be lost over time. Okay, so this is not like your regular lock-ons like Falcon. You don't just dash back and hold block. Once lock-on is ready, it can be activated by throwing any special attack and is paused while standing near the opponent. The active lock-on lasts 2 seconds. Okay, 12 seconds to grant 2 seconds. But each full bar of power adds 1 second to its duration. The duration is doubled for defenders. Lock-on lasts 25% longer against mutants and 25% shorter against cosmics. Plasma effects are paused while locked on. Let's see, what's the developer's note? Though in many fights you can activate lock-on as soon as it is available, in some cases waiting for the right moment to activate lock-on increases Silver Centurion's damage output greatly. Greatly could be a very relative term. Also, lock-on progress loss is paused during his own specials. All attacks. Whenever Centurion would strike with a critical hit, he instead inflicts a shock debuff that lasts for 3 seconds. The potency scales with critical damage rating. If lock-on is not active, inflicting shock into an incinerated opponent, or vice versa, will fuse those two into a plasma debuff that has properties of both. This plasma lasts for 12 seconds. Alright, so we're already getting, like, it just sounds like a different way to play Infinity War Iron Man. Okay, guys. Well, okay, not judging yet. Let's keep on going. Okay. Plasma will be formed while landing a shock on an opponent suffering from Incinerate, and if the opponent is immune to shock, the inverse is also true. Landing an Incinerate on an opponent suffering from shock will form plasma, even if the opponent is immune to Incinerate. Finish a combo with a light attack, you get a Heat Punch. While lock-on is not active, inflict an Incinerate debuff, dealing 345 energy damage over 12 seconds. This effect also removes perfect block chance, reduces block efficiency by 50%. Second medium hit is a Plasma Blast. While locked on, deal a burst of energy damage per stack of plasma. Second medium hits are the most reliable way to deal damage while lock-on is active. Good luck doing that in your 2-second time limit. Provided the enemy is suffering from a few stacks of plasma. So as long as they're aggressive, you're fantastic. Heavy attacks. Inflict a non-stacking slow debuff for 10 seconds, reducing the ability accuracy of the opponent's unstoppable and evade. So, I mean, okay. Well, we've got other champions that do that just fine. That's not really getting me excited. Special 1, Iron Barrage. On activation, if lock-on is active, it is refreshed. Inflict a heal block debuff, preventing the opponent from recovering health for 10 seconds. If the opponent is under the effect of regeneration effect, the heal block is turned into a passive and lasts for 15 seconds. Are there any champions? Guys, tell me, are there any champions that, like, it would need to turn into a passive? I mean, really? Who's going to purify that? Yeah, okay. Drone Onslaught, Special 2. On activation, if locked on, all plasma effects are refreshed. While locked on, if the opponent has 5 stacks or more of plasma, the last hit deals a burst, 2301 energy damage for each stack of plasma. If the opponent is under 5 stacks of plasma, inflict 3 stacks of plasma instead. Is under 5 stacks, yeah. If locked on is not active, the last hit inflicts a plasma debuff, dealing energy damage based on the last hit landed over 12 seconds. The potency of this effect increases with critical damage rating. And Special 3, Electrical Cage. Activate lock-on even if the conditions are not met. Inflict a slow debuff for 28 seconds. Inflict power drain debuff that removes 1 bar of power plus an additional 25% of a bar for each stack of plasma over 10 seconds. Signature ability, Improved Lock-On. Silver Centurion's personal shock and plasma debuffs become passives, and their duration is increased by 25%. That's okay. I'm not too unhappy about that. Anybody that can't be debuffed, that'll be kind of cool. While locked on, block proficiency is increased by 3150. Okay, guys, so before we get into synergies, I gotta say, this just sounds completely meh. I mean, I'm just kind of bored reading it. I mean, God, I hate to say it. Watch the conspiracy video. I feel like I was right. Honestly, you know what this seems like? Like, I could see them taking Infinity War Iron Man and kind of semi-buffing him or redoing some of his abilities into this. But it's like almost a lot of the exact same stuff. And it's just not exciting. And it doesn't, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what the damage output of the plasmas and the shocks are. But, I mean, if it just acts like normal plasmas and shocks, this is not exciting whatsoever. This is okay. All right, guys. Well, that's my uninformed opinion. Again, I haven't played him yet, but just what we're reading, I am not hyped. Okay, synergy bonuses. Let's see. Maybe he's got some synergies that'll make him really good. Silver Centurion critical damage rating is increased by 371. That's a synergy with himself. Iron Men. Silver Centurion, while locked on, Special 1 attack inflicts energy vulnerability, decreasing energy resistance by 15% for 10 seconds. Iron Man Infinity War. Each molecular armor effect increases the potency of armor break by 10%. Again, meh. Superior Iron Man. Gaining an armor up buff grants a fury buff, increasing attack rating by 30% for 12 seconds. That's actually pretty substantial for Superior Iron Man. Not going to make me play him, but pretty substantial if I had to. And then Iron Man, special attacks inflict a plasma passive, dealing 40% of attack over 6 seconds. Okay, I mean, whatever. As Guardian Republic, Thor, landing any special attack inflicts a shock debuff, dealing 40% of attack over 8 seconds. I don't feel like you should have to have a synergy to have that ability. Jane Foster, personal shock effects last 25% longer. Thor Ragnarok, heavy attacks inflict a shock debuff, dealing 50% of attack over 8 seconds. Okay. Patriot Garrison, Captain America Infinity War, Captain America World War II. Each time the opponent is immune to a stun effect, gain an unstoppable buff for 1 second. Now that is pretty good. It'd be better if it was an unblockable buff, but that's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, that could be a game changer for some nodes going around the contest. That's really awesome, especially in this month's side quest. That's really awesome. Okay, we found a highlight. Pet Pals. Interesting. Silver Centurion. If the opponent is suffering 5 stacks of plasma, special attack 2 inflicts 1 extra plasma. Oh, sorry. I got bored reading about Silver Centurion. Squirrel Girl, Mole Man. Gain 20% attack rating during Special 1. That's pretty good for them. Alright, Family. War Machine increases maximum health of all champions for 6%. Hulkbuster, Civil War, 4% block proficiency. Recommended masteries Double Edge, Collar Tech, and Perfect Block. Guys, I was excited to be one of the first people to bring you this info. And now I'm just incredibly disappointed in the info. Wow, guys. Okay, well, hey, you know what? I'm hoping that in gameplay he does a lot better than he sounds on paper. On paper, again, he just sounds like a reskinned Infinity War Iron Man. And yeah, that's about it. So, all right, guys, what do you think? Are you excited for him? Does this all sound good to you? Because I think you can see on my face, it's kind of stinky to me. What's that smelling here? What is it? Oh, it's just Silver Centurion. Oh well. Hopefully he's good, guys. We'll find out. Catch you later.